Hello everybody and welcome to Change Now, the world's largest event for the planet. My name is Inge Mehus and I'm your moderator in our pitch garden today. This session is dedicated to Change Now for Peace, and you'll discover some top innovators here today. We got lots to cover and only 35 minutes, so let's jump straight into our intro presented by our expert Mark Reverdeen, who is the Secretary General of Paris Peace Forum. I'm going to hand it over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Ingi. It's a great pleasure to be here today representing the Paris Peace Forum, another event taking place in Paris and gathering a lot of stakeholders and especially solution providers, people from every background, from the civil society, from international organizations, from states providing solutions to tackle the biggest challenges our time has to face. And it brings me, of course, to this concept of peace. When we think of peace, generally, we think of conflict resolution or just the end of violence. But peace is much more than this. And that's the whole idea behind the Paris Peace Forum. We need to build regulations, norms, institutions that help us tackle these big challenges, common challenges, that are actually more threatening than wars, which are climate change, cyber attacks, or, of course, at the moment, pandemics. And by gathering all these actors at the Paris Peace Forum, as you do during the Change Now Summit, our idea is really to offer a possibility to scale up solutions that can give answers to these problems. And so at the forum, at the Paris Peace Forum, we decided not only to organize a conference where people can talk, but also to showcase solutions like the Change Now Summit. And beyond this, we thought it was important not only to showcase them, but also to accompany them from an edition to another. And that's what we do this year with 10 projects, and 4 of these projects will be pitching today during the session. And I can only invite you to listen carefully because we selected them with great care, and we're extremely proud of the work they're doing, and we want to push them as far as possible. And of course, we'll be happy to welcome all these projects, all participants of the Change Now Summit in the next edition of the Paris Peace Forum from 11 to 13 November this year, physically and online. I leave now the floor to the project so that you can discover these incredible solutions, not only trying to end violence, but also tackling these big threats that we need to tackle all together.
Thank you so much, Mark, for this enlightening introduction. And indeed, peace is so much more than conflict resolution, and we cannot wait to be inspired with these different approaches to peace. And before we do that, I would love to introduce our jury. And I'm going to first hand it over to Stefan Bourbier from Asterian Impact. I would love to hear a little bit from you, Stefan.
Yes, hello, my name is Stefan, and I created a club deal investments fund specialized in seed around between 300,000 euro and 2 million euro for impact startups with a big scale potential.
Wonderful. Thank you, Stefan. And then it's over to Adriana Freitas for Deep Green Impact Investing. Adriana, over to you.
Hi, my name is Adriana. Right now I'm in Barcelona, but I do come from Brazil, and all the items being mentioned before by Mark towards peace is dear to my heart. Impact, the Deep Green VC is like an impact fund. We do invest with like a collection of ecosystem of experts. We invest in sustainability, education, healthcare, and our area that we talk as social tech or humanity fair is we do perceive projects like the ones we're going to see today, and I wish the best to all these startups here, and I hope to great projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. And then I think we're ready to be inspired by our wonderful change makers. And the first one I'm happy to introduce is Fabio Bargiacchi from the European Center for Electoral Support. Fabio, over to you. Oh, Fabio, you are muted. We would love to hear your voice.
No, I'm not muted anymore, I hope. So thank you very much for this possibility to present our own solution, to give our contribution to peace, stability and democracy, hopefully toward a more inclusive and fair society. For this, we have created a case, which is a not-for-profit, independent, neutral, non-partisan foundation headquartered in Brussels, but with the global remit, working around the globe. We were establishing ourselves in 2010, and we have implemented, luckily, already projects and activity in 50 countries, mainly in Africa and the Middle East, and mainly with the funding of the European Union and the European Union member states. We promote electoral and democracy strengthening through the provision of advisory services, but especially mainstreaming capacity and leadership development via South-South peer exchanges and comparative experiences, dialogue and prevention of electoral conflicts. We have crafted ourselves our own specific strategy called European Response to Electoral Cycle Support, which is also implemented through other specific copyrighted methodologies and activity to make sure so we are synergetic and we are not duplicating activity with other organizations implementing with us electoral support activity worldwide with the funding of the European Union and the European Union member states like the United Nations Development Programme, International Foundation for Electoral Systems and International IDEA, which are the most important ones. EUREX, what is? It is an innovative delivery mechanism which is there to implement electoral support activities in line with the values and policy of the European Union and the European Union member states, and targeting the facilitation of the cooperation in electoral matters between the EU member states and their own partner countries. We are also very grateful to the Paris Peace Forum, as was mentioned. We've been selected among all the other colleagues in the Paris Peace Forum 2020. So thanks a lot also to our mentors, Stefano Manservisi and ChangeNOW, to advise us on how to further improve what we are doing. In Ethiopia, a very challenging electoral process, which is ongoing. Election has been postponed several times and now set for the 21st of June. We have received an important amount of funds from the European Union, Germany, and lately as well from Ireland and Denmark in order to support the new established Electoral Board of Ethiopia in their own electoral operation and capacity development, but also civil society organization networks in order to implement their own domestic election observation activity, which are also conducive for early warning and conflict mapping when it comes to electoral conflicts. To cut the story short, for the sake of time, I would like to remind that EUREX is an innovative strategy that we have been implemented in more than 50 countries, and thanks to at least 97 million euro that we have received from the EU and the EU member states in the last 9 years. And the strategy is therefore a long-term approach that try to ensure a comprehensive and more sustainable activities to stimulate ownership among political and electoral players. This creates, hopefully, opportunities for mediation, dialogue, and preventing and mitigation electoral conflicts. And this is our solution. We propose to target peace and stability in countries where we work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabio, for this passionate presentation and showing us indeed fair election and peace do go hand in hand. Wonderful. All right, we're going to go over to Ante Freiland, who is going to talk about her initiative, Trademark East Africa. Ante, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for pronouncing my name really well. So my name is Ante Vrijland. I work with Trademark East Africa. I'm the Director Corporate Affairs there, and I'm presenting the Safe Trade Facility. As you know very well, I don't think I can click, so let me, no, code, no. So next, please. Yeah, as we have, we're a larger program, more than a $1 billion program, but we have set up a COVID response program we call Safe Trade. As you all know, there are many challenges, not only health challenges related to COVID, but also trade-related challenges. We saw here in our region in East Africa, a lot of people that weren't able to protect themselves properly with the masks or the gloves. We saw a lot of compulsory testing needed at the borders. And the picture you see there is actually a very long queue of 60 kilometers of trucks, doubles, sometimes triples parked, because they could not pass the border, often with essential goods. This not only impacted larger traders, but also informal traders. And all these lockdowns, and still going on, impacted heavily on food supplies, smaller trader income, and so really has hampered the economy. So next. We came with this Safe Trade solution. It's a more than $20 million grant-based program. You see our coverage in Eastern Africa, and we have many, many aspects to it, but I want to present mainly two. Next slide. Next, I just wanted to show you some pictures of how it's here in Africa. As for the former speaker, we're funded by governments. You can see that here. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So here are all the areas we work in: emergency equipment, technology, policy, advocacy, etc. As I said, I want to present only two. Next slide. Next slide. Here you are. So this is a technological solution. We felt that digital could be the solution for moving trade. We have this app, and it will put all the information, privacy, of course, respecting, for truck drivers and smaller traders to keep on moving. And we have already registered many truck drivers. And we'll also want to put an EAC pass, which will be the green vaccination pass we're working on. This will be interfacing with the tourism solutions in what we have, for example, in Europe. Next, because I want to quickly present the next slide, thank you, on safe trade zones. As I said, smaller traders, especially women, are heavily affected, and we create bonded areas where they can continue trading in a very safe way across borders. I wish I had more time in it, but here you are. Maybe two more slides and you have my contact information. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, thank you, Anta. And I wish I could give you more time here as well, but there will be a Q&A and there'll be the networking tables afterwards, so more time to dig in deeper. Thank you so much for such a timely and important initiative, Anta. All right, we're now going to go to Elena Chernysheva from WWF Russia. Elena, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hello, can you hear me well? Yeah. I'm here to represent the People for Nature project. The project was started 2 years ago as a joint effort of WWF Russia and European Union to engage civil society in environmental protection. Now, in a post-pandemic world, we see that the importance of the project has increased dramatically. We all understand that post-pandemic economic recovery has to be environmentally sustainable. If we neglect environmental protection in favor of industrial recovery, this will damage both people and nature. The solution we offer is improving public monitoring of the industrial impact on the environment through the support of independent ecological NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and activists. To achieve that, we develop an approach with the main focus on providing free access to digital tools for those NGOs and activists. The project is now being implemented in 3 ecological regions in Russia, and let me show you how beautiful and precious these regions are. This is Caucasus. Altai-Sayan region in southern Siberia, and Amur ecological region in the far east of Russia. So by now we have more than 400 activists trained. We have more than 4,000 login sites digitalized and put on the open access map. We have more than 9,000 kilometers of polluted rivers identified, and all that thanks to the usage of the technologies such as GIS and remote sensing. But the problem is that many technologies and tools remain too expensive and too complicated to be applied widely by environmental organizations and individuals. And that's why we are looking for partnerships with technological startups, companies, and experts to provide NGOs and local communities with free access to digital tools and to develop new digital tools tailored for environmental protection. And what tools we need are satellite imagery of high resolution, are mobile apps that can be used in the field trips, and artificial intelligence solutions to process all the data gathered. And we are not the only environmental project which needs these technologies. And we're here to send a message for technologies owners to partner with environmentalists all over the world, provide them with an existing tools, and help to develop new tools to protect the planet. So please donate your technologies and join us now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elena, and thank you for your work to protect these absolutely stunning locations. Really beautiful, and it's nice to get to travel a bit virtually these days when we can't move so freely otherwise. Okay, we're going to go to our last presenter, Christopher Cordova from AI for Climate. Christopher, I'm going to hand the floor over to you.
If a tree falls in the forest and no one sees, does it fall? Well, if over 2 billion trees fall in the world's jungles and trees every year, and we do not see, do they fall? Basically, this is the question we want to address in AI for Climate and Victoria Artificial Intelligence. Victoria Artificial Intelligence is a technology startup that will be using artificial intelligence to make visible the invisible biodiversity, the biodiversity that sustains our life and the ecosystems that stabilize our climate. This startup is working with extraordinary groups around the world, and actually we are developing also our own data gathering, data collection technology with an angel investor that has been helping us with a $3 million grant for the development of such devices. And we will be starting tests very, very soon, so we can be able to deploy our whole system by next year. And this startup, basically the aim is also developing a whole system of artificial intelligence data analysis so that we can have a truly global impact in over 200 sites over the next 4 years. This is going very, very fast, and we are putting nature and ecosystems at the core, and it's actually a data company that will be providing next generation data services to a wide array of institutions, companies, and even individuals that will be able to have next generation carbon offset with us, as well as biodiversity certificates. We will be starting over the next weeks a tour of Europe, meeting with many, many institutions in many countries and cities, and also making more solid our different alliances with different technological groups. And we are definitely moving towards a global impact by using data, because we found out that still, even with all efforts currently working on the field and behind the computers at the same time, we still need much more data from nature, much more data. And that will power many solutions across industries. So this is the focus of AI for Climate and Victoria Artificial Intelligence. Thank you very much.
Christopher, thank you so much. And it's beautiful to see when technology and nature can join forces in order for good. All right, that was our fantastic presentations. I'm now going to open up the floor to our jury to see if any have any burning questions for these fantastic change makers. Who would like to go first? Yes, Adriana. Yes.
Chris, regarding the data collection, you guys are positioning yourself as a startup more like on how can I say, connecting those data collections parts as like, or having the ownership of the data and distribute it, just to understand, like, you know, your stake on the value chain.
We are doing both things. First, we are already developing our own data collection technology, our own data processing system and data visualization. And at the same time, we'll be integrating from various sources of information existing already so that it can become more powerful.
Okay, that is interesting. Thank you.
And maybe you have an example of the output you are expecting from the data you will be collecting?
Definitely. For example, identifying wildfires, illegal logging, illegal hunting, illegal fishing on time, and being able to have actionable reports so that authorities, companies, foundations working on the field protecting ecosystems can actually react, and also the opportunities for the protection of those same ecosystems, for example, identifying migration or longer term chemical processes, changes that are being happening in the ecosystems.
Okay, thank you.
Any question for other change speakers? Yes, Stefan? And then Adriana.
Sorry, Adriana. It's a question for WWF Russia. Once you will have gathered all those tools, do you plan any cooperation with other NGO or other geography? Because your project seems so interesting.
Yeah, definitely. The whole idea of the project is about cooperation between NGOs and communities. So there is no way that one NGO, even so big as WWF, can protect the environment only with its own resources. So the idea is that locals in different parts of, at this time of Russia, then further in different parts of the planet can share their knowledge and can use these open technologies. So what we are trying to do is to provide these local communities and these people with skills how to use the technologies. And yes, we see that there is a gap between the technologies that are applied commercially and the technologies that are accessible to NGOs working for environment. So we aspire to fill this gap during this project. Yeah.
Thank you.
Adriana, you had a question? Yes.
Yes, my question was for Antien. It's more regarding like how she think on expanding this safe trade market for women and to other regions, and how hard it is to escalate, because you somehow depend on the city even for like recognizing your passports, and so there is like a public-private necessity to be, you know, reiterated there.
It's an excellent question. Thank you. So what we do here, mainly we work with the governments first, because you need the assistance of the Ministry of Health, obviously, the Minister of Transport. And so in the countries where we're well established, that's easy. But we're now expanding to more the Horn of Africa, southern countries, and it does take a bit of time to work with the governments. But we also have partnership with some of the UN bodies, also for what we call the EAC pass. It's technically I think we're learning along the way and want to introduce biometrics, so where your iris scan or your digital print can be used. And we work with MasterCard and Rockefeller already to implement that. So we really like to work in partnerships, both public, I should say, so governments, also revenue authorities, for example, custom offices, but also those that provide the money and those that have the technical input. Yes.
Go for Stefan.
Okay, and for Safe Trade, what gave the impulsion to your project? Where did the idea come from?
Okay, so we already established for 10 years now, so I'm not sure you can call us a startup as such. It's a project that within our organization that is the startup. So it's a COVID response project within a larger program. We do trade facilitation, so we want to move trades better across borders in Africa. Still a big problem for economic growth and prosperity. And so this COVID response came about when we saw the big trouble for transporters and small traders to continue moving goods across borders smoothly. That was the impulse, yeah.
All right, thanks.
Any other questions?
I have, sorry, I have a question for Fabio, and it's more related to, you know, the work you guys are doing in Ethiopia. I did leave, like, you know, a lot of the part on digitalization of voting in Brazil. Few people know, but like voting digital, like, you know, little boats with satellite phones going through Amazon. We had that in Brazil like 10 years ago or more, like 15. And so digital voting was somehow like a big eye opening, but at the same time, you know, some people didn't want the Indians to vote. Can you? It's a complication, you know, when you go in some borders and you know, giving that right to those persons sometimes can be, you know, negative in some ways. And how you guys deal in such situations, because it can happen, no, in some countries.
No, certainly. Thank you very much. That is a very pertinent question, as indeed I'm very much aware of the very important experience in Brazil for electronic voting machine since '92. Actually, we've been interacting as well personally and as a case with the Tribunal Superior Electoral since a while. So obviously this kind of experiences in other countries, it is not replicable, especially at present when it comes to the situations, logistical, operational, financial situations in Ethiopia, not only for electronic voting, but also for vote registrations, where, for instance, the more technological advanced solutions were not implemented for this time around. Maybe they will be considered for future, but any technological innovations for electoral processes need an important amount of time to introduce to an electoral process in order to increase the confidence of the voters, of the public opinions, or the political context that this technology is actually bringing more transparency and participation, and not the contrary, because there are cases in Africa and elsewhere where introduction of technology did not bring the foreseen transparency and acceptance of the result, but quite the contrary. So we are actually advising, not only in Ethiopia, but worldwide, that whenever there is an introduction of technological innovations, we need an important amount of time, funds at the beginning of the introductions, and an important amount also civic voter education and training for the public opinion and also for the electoral managers to implement at best what has to bring actually confidence to the electoral process. And by the way, the determinant factor when it comes to introducing technology, it is not the technology per se, but it's the trust that is enjoyed by the electoral management bodies that are introducing this technology. And this is the only determinant factors when it comes to acceptance of the result while using technology. I hope I have answered your question.
Great, and then I'm going to give the final question to Stefan.
My question to Fabio was just the same, so it's already answered. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you all. Then we're coming towards the end, and I'm going to hand the word over to Adriana for the closing remarks. Oh, you are muted, Adriana. It happens.
Now, I'm going to re-mention one point that Mark mentioned in the beginning is like related to cybersecurity. And few people know, but like, you know, they say that in 2021, cybercrime would generate, you know, $6 trillion in loss. And it is perceived as a SDG 16 for peace and justice. And the point here is like what we see as peace does vary from country to country. And we understand that in a global level is very important to all. So SDG is dedicated to promoting peaceful and inclusivity societies for sustainable development. So providing access to justice and building that effective, accountable institutions at all levels is very important. So sustainable development strongly depends on peace, justice, and strong institutions, which is why like ensuring peace and security is urgent. We all understand that crime, corruption, instability disrupt societies and markets. As we can see as the example here, we had wonderful examples in not only biodiversity, but markets and elections. But there is like regions where violence, homicides, trafficking, unequal access to justice, corruption, bribery, dominance, sustainable development is impossible. We have to solve those things and address those things before go and talk about sustainability, I think. And as a first talk, that a lot of people might think that this is only the job for the governments, but we all shall perceive that all the public and private partnerships are a very big importance in achieving this goal. And it's amazing the work all the startups that present in this panel did today, and I hope a big success for achieving all that. And thank you.
Thank you, Adriana, for those beautiful closing remarks. I want to thank all of you peace change makers, juror members, and all of you for tuning in for this beautiful session. I hope you leave inspired and ready for change now. I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.